Hey guys, what is up? My name is Jeff, and today I want to talk about the Assassin's Creed franchise, and why it's a poorly constructed franchise. You see, over this long, dark quarantine, I booted up Assassin's Creed 1 on my Xbox 360, which, may I just say, to boot up Assassin's Creed 1 on your Xbox 360 voluntarily, well, it requires a state of immense depression. When people talk about the lowest points in their lives, they normally bring up like, oh, the first time I injected heroin. I'd say putting Assassin's Creed 1 into the disc tray of your Xbox 360 is probably a little bit worse than that. I mean, Assassin's Creed 1 is a really, I think it is the most mind-numbing game ever made. I've played the game like 3 times fully now, and I can't remember what happens. Still, I try to remember what happens. I think it's just you go to a city, you kill a guy, you run back to Masyaf to talk to your old man who's obviously gonna be a villain, and then you kill another guy in a city, and it's the exact same mission for like 8 hours, and then there's these modern day segments, and none of it makes any sense. And let's not forget, Assassin's Creed was basically just a tech demo. It wasn't meant to be like the franchise starter. It was supposed to be like, oh, look at the light effects. So if you look at the first game in the franchise and you realize, oh, this is what everything's based on, this 12-game saga is based on this first game, which was really just a cynical tech demo that wasn't meant to be anything you take seriously at all. If you look at that first game, you kind of understand, oh, that first game directly lends to the state of Assassin's Creed today. Like, the dumbest parts of Assassin's Creed 1 are still present in current Assassin's Creed installments because they have to be. Assassin's Creed's main problem is its plot. It is not a franchise where you have consistent characters. It is a franchise that jumps around to new historical time periods, like an episode of the Magic Treehouse. See, back in like 2011 when they came out with Assassin's Creed 2 and introduced us to Ezio, they spent 3 whole games on Ezio, on just Ezio's story, because people loved him so much. And that was the best part of Assassin's Creed, Ezio's character. Now the franchise is just a way to travel to different historical time periods while being under the same brand of Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed isn't really a franchise so much as it is a brand. Each game is a singular experience. Look at Assassin's Creed Unity. Arno is the main character of this game, and you're never going to see him again, so they have to establish him fully. And the same goes for all of the other Assassin's Creed games after, Revelations? So this means that you can't get attached to the characters that the franchise introduces you to. It's like, oh, here's all the characters for this game, get to know them, and then it doesn't matter at all. Like, imagine if Marvel franchised things that way. Oh, well, here's Iron Man, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you love him? You're never going to see him again. You're just going to see movies in the same universe as Iron Man, and Iron Man exists in this universe, but you'll never see him again in another installment. Pepper Potts, Rhodey, all of them, gone. Gone. Don't matter at all. So you're never going to have another Ezio-type character because you're not allowed to have another Ezio-type character. Now, I'll admit, Assassin's Creed was doing this before. They actually kind of got it down where for the first 5 games you play as Desmond in the modern day segments, so at least the story is culminating on Desmond's side of things.
Desmond?
He's talking to me?
I heard your name once before, Desmond. A long time ago.
And then Ezio's story relates back to Altair, and then Connor is sort of an independent thing from Ezio, but still, you're still with Desmond. Now, there are no consistent characters. There is no main character of the Assassin's Creed franchise anymore. And that is a huge problem, because remember when I said Assassin's Creed 1 was really dumb? I meant it was really dumb.
Everything's Denver on my end.
Where are the files?
Wait, what's that mean, everything's Denver?
It means everything's fine.
Why Denver?
It's a reference to Denver International Airport. There's an underground facility there where the accident happened.
Assassin's Creed 1 establishes that the Assassin's Creed universe is a culmination of every single conspiracy that has ever been created. I mean, this is the TV show Ancient Aliens in video game form.
The ancient astronaut theory tries to establish whether or not extraterrestrials visited Earth in the remote past.
All sorts of mysteries surround the construction of these monuments and why they were built. Some theories suggest that instead of just observing the skies, they might have been erected using knowledge from visitors from another world.
Be it an ancient precursor race,
Adam, I have it.
Eve, was that what I think it was?
or the Boston airport, or one Knights Templar controlling the world, it's all in Assassin's Creed 1, and that has to carry over through the rest of the franchise. But it didn't matter as much for the first 5 games because you had the consistent story and characters of Desmond's modern-day plot, Ezio, Altair, and then you even had the slight tie between Connor and Edward. So you had this sort of, you know, an overarching theme. You had consistency. You had something to follow. But ever since they got rid of Desmond, they have not replaced him with anything. They have just gotten rid of the consistent characters, gotten rid of the consistent story, and all they're left with is this conspiracy nonsense about ancient aliens. Now, I'm not saying Desmond was good. His plot was stale and it needed to go. But at the same time, you gotta give us something new. You gotta give us something to tie these games together. And that's people's main complaint with these games. They say, well, maybe we should get rid of the modern day segments altogether. If we're just gonna jump around to different historical time periods, what does it matter what's going on in the modern day? It doesn't. If the only thing linking these games together is just a really horrible Ancient Aliens episode, then maybe we should just get rid of the link altogether. Free the franchise so that it's able to just be a fun little historical jaunt rather than an Ancient Aliens episode. Now, I'm not sure if getting rid of the modern day plot is the best thing to do or not. So the rest of this video is basically just going to be me talking about the direction I think the franchise needs to take. Starting off, you're going to need consistent characters. Either you tie it together through a modern day plot, like Desmond's story did, or you have games set in succession of one another, like Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations were all set in the same time period with the same historical character, or pseudo-historical. Don't abandon your characters. Don't be shy, have them in more than one game. Like, you need to have a little bit of fan service, you have to have characters return if this is going to be a successful franchise. So in regards to the historical plot, not the modern day plot, I think Assassin's Creed could really benefit from setting the games in the same time period, but not necessarily the same location. This is something they've almost gotten right, but they've always fumbled it. Ezio met Xiao Jun, and it's like, oh, Ezio and this Chinese lady are gonna meet. Is Ezio gonna go to China? Are we gonna get another game with Ezio and this young Chinese woman? Nope, Ezio's dead. Like, I want to see a game where Arno from Assassin's Creed Unity comes back, and we come up with a reason for him to have to go to America during the War of 1812. Arno is like 44 years old at this point. He's a little bit older than he was in Assassin's Creed Unity, and he's walking around trying to find the Assassin's Brotherhood in America, and who does he run into but like the 57-year-old Connor from Assassin's Creed 3, and the two of them have to team up. Those are the moments that Assassin's Creed should be trying to facilitate, a connection between games, and connections that make sense. It doesn't make sense where it's like, okay, one game we're going to go to ancient Rome, and then we're going to go to ancient Egypt, and then we're going to go to the Vikings, and nothing's going to be tied together at all. Like, you're just the Magic Treehouse at that point. You're not a serious game franchise. So you have to have consistency between characters. I don't want to have Arno, who's basically as good as Ezio, just be treated like a one-off character. But the modern day plot does matter because it interferes with the historical plot. The historical plot has always been insanely more interesting because the historical plot focuses on the dynamic between Templars and Assassins, which is inherently more interesting than ancient alien theory. Assassin's Creed 4 tried to follow the ancient alien plot within the historical plot, and it was just kind of a lot of mumbo jumbo. I didn't really like it. And then Assassin's Creed Unity sort of explored the differences between Templars and Assassins, explored the juxtaposition between the two. You had that with Elise and Arno, they weren't enemies, they were lovers, and that was the most profound thing about Assassin's Creed Unity, but moving on. So while I don't think the modern day plot needs to be completely abandoned, I think the conflict between Templars and Assassins is compelling enough to stand on its own as both the historical plot and the modern day plot. You don't need ancient astronaut theories, just sort of kill off the ancient alien stuff. Draw the primary conflict back between Assassins and Templar. So as long as you make historical games set around the same time period so you can have characters interact with each other, reinvest in characters that we already know, as I mentioned with Arno and Connor, draw the modern day and historical plots back to being Templars versus Assassins, and I think you'll have a very good franchise at that point, something to be proud of. Anyways, what do you guys think Assassin's Creed should do in the future? Should they cut ties with the modern day plot? Should they retcon the whole thing? I want to hear what you guys think. Once again, my name is Jeff. If you liked this video, please like it. I will see you next time.